People fight to survive in a forbidden zone, where colossal machines roam after the catastrophe. The events of the film take place in an alternate reality and begin in 1990. Just before the outbreak of a major war, Christopher is a genius boy who passes all his exams by external testing. In order to enter university, he is afraid to step into adulthood, but his older sister Michelle supports him and is confident that a bright future awaits him. A brief history lesson reveals that in the 1850s, a large company invented robots designed to ease people's lives. By the 1990s, these robots had taken over all the routine and physical work, but soon began demanding equal civil rights. This led to the start of a war which humanity was losing until Ethan Skate, the inventor of the Neurocaster virtual helmet, emerged. This device allowed people to share consciousness, and soon they began using drones, ultimately winning the war within weeks. Robots were then exiled to a zone of exclusion. In New Mexico, the Neurocaster technology soon became civilian, allowing people to split their consciousness. One part controls the drone, while the other rests in virtual reality. By 1994, 2 years after the war with the robots, Michelle lives with her adopted father, Ted, who is constantly using the Neurocaster to split his consciousness. He controls his daughter through a drone and a tracking device, ordering her to attend extra lessons so he can profit from it. Michelle is a rebel and refuses to obey her adoptive father. Rejecting his offer, she tries to remove the tracking bracelet but fails. During lessons, Michelle ignores the Neurocaster, believing that the real world is better than the virtual one. As a result, she is summoned to the school principal's office, but the principal, who lost her parents and younger brother in a car accident, is powerless against Michelle's defiance. Michelle longs for Christopher and clearly demonstrates her unwillingness to conform to the system. One night, Michelle has a nightmare in which she relives the very accident that left an orphan waking up. She hears noises outside and realizes someone is near her house. She decides to go outside to investigate, only to spot a monster hiding nearby. Rushing back inside, Michelle tries to wake Ted, but to no avail, fearing for her life. She hides under the bed in her bedroom and sees the monster continue to stalk her. The creature enters the room, searches around, and lifts the bed, revealing Michelle. The terrifying monster turns out to be a robot, disguised as their beloved childhood cartoon character. Cosmo, fearing that the robot has come to kill her, Michelle defends herself, but the robot doesn't pose a threat. It attempts to explain the reason for its arrival through gestures, indicating that its voice capabilities are limited. Due to mechanical damage, Michelle helps Cosmo so he can communicate using phrases from the cartoon character. The robot claims to be Christopher, but Michelle doesn't believe him and pushes him away. The noise wakes Ted, who reacts aggressively to the situation and shoves his adoptive daughter. The robot defends Michelle and pushes Ted back. Ted attacks the robot with a golf club but gets injured. Interpreting it as an attempted murder, he threatens to deactivate Cosmo and tries to call the police, but Michelle stops him with a taser. Trusting Cosmo, Michelle decides to run away from home to help him and find her brother, whom she thought was dead. Ted's drone tries to stop them, but Michelle steals her adoptive father's car and drives off at dawn. They arrive at a memorial, marking the end of the war with the robots. The car's tires are punctured, and Michelle needs to find another vehicle to help. Cosmo, using phrases from the cartoon, he explains that the consciousness of Christopher controls him and that her younger brother is alive. He is in danger and needs her help. Michelle is the only one who can save him. Christopher doesn't know which laboratory he's in, but he asks Michelle to find a doctor wearing glasses who is hiding in the exclusion zone from items in Ted's trunk. Michelle learns about a smuggler who regularly enters the exclusion zone. Knowing his location, Michelle and Cosmo embark on a dangerous journey. They take a train and an old boat, eventually reaching New Mexico. In the evening, Cosmo notices a man obsessively using the Neurocaster. Christopher's subconscious alerts Michelle that this is a problem they need to address, as people are living in the virtual world without realizing how dangerous it is. He covers the homeless man with a blanket to keep him from freezing to death. While in virtual reality soon, a truck driver named Keith arrives on the scene. He is the very smuggler they were looking for. Hiding nearby, Michelle and Cosmo watches. Keith negotiates with a buyer. The buyer sends a drone in his place to purchase a revolver, but decides not to pay the smuggler, and instead attempts to kill him. Keith is prepared for this turn of events, using a clever trick and calling for help from someone hiding in the truck. The unknown figure who takes out the aggressive drone turns out to be a robot named Herman. He protects Keith in the dangerous situation and helps cover up the crime. Meanwhile, Michelle and Cosmo sneak inside the truck to infiltrate the smuggler's hideout. Meanwhile, Michelle is being pursued. Ted hires the bounty hunter Marshall Bradbury, who quickly deduces where Michelle and the robot are headed, and that he's tasked with eliminating them. Soon after Keats arrives at the base, where the smuggled goods are stored, he is furious because all the food is spoiled, and even more irritated that Herman turned off the fridge. Causing the problem, the robot doesn't feel guilty, explaining that he needed to recharge. A conflict ensues between Keats and Herman. but they are interrupted when someone else in the warehouse. They quickly realize it's Michelle and Cosmo, who are hoping to reach the exclusion zone. Keats warns them that it's too dangerous and advises the teenager not to continue. At that moment, they notice that the elevator is descending, indicating that an unwelcome guest has arrived, and likely with bad intentions. Herman and Cosmo hide while Keith asks Michelle to pretend to be his mute sister. Marshall Bradbury arrives in the warehouse, having come for the girl and the robot, both marked for termination, understanding that a peaceful negotiation isn't possible. Keats orders Herman to fire, but the robot misses. A scuffle breaks out between the Marshal and the group, and no one can handle the bounty hunter's drone. Michelle uses a trick and shuts off the lights, but the Marshal uses a flashlight to continue the hunt. Keith sneaks up behind him and shoots, but misses. Michelle and Cosmo claim they're ready to surrender, but it's a diversion, allowing Herman to crush the Marshal's drone with a huge crane seizing the moment. The group tries to escape and infiltrate the exclusion zone using carts, but Bradbury shoots at them. The Marshal tries to eliminate Cosmo, but Herman attacks him. The robots are losing the fight, and it seems like they're doomed. But Michelle manages to crush the Marshal's drone. With an excavator, the cave begins to collapse, and the group narrowly escapes to the outside. However, this doesn't calm Keith. Instead, it sends him into a panic, as this exit is the only way to leave the exclusion zone. Now they find themselves in a land inhabited by surviving robots. Michelle doesn't understand the full extent of the danger of the exclusion zone, so Kits explains to her about the scavenger robots, merciless monsters that tear apart other robots to use their parts for repairs. Michelle pleads with the smuggler to help her and her brother, as the doctor hiding in the exclusion zone is the only one who knows how to escape. Itz is skeptical of her words, but leads them to a secret hangar, where there is an old minivan and a massive construction robot, which Herman uses like a nesting doll. Michelle, the only one with a plan, convinces the smuggler to go along with it. The group is forced to unite and attempt to find the doctor, who can help them escape the exclusion zone. Herman uses his large size to transport the others. Inside the minivan during the journey, Keith shares the story of how he met the robot, who became his friend. 2 years ago, during the height of the war, Keith's squad was surrounded. It seemed like they would all be executed, but Herman spared a wounded soldier and saved him. Later, they tried to surrender to the authorities, but they were mistaken for deserters and shot at. Realizing they could trust no one anymore, Keith and Herman went into hiding, becoming smugglers and friends. Meanwhile, Skate is talking to his mother, but it turns out she's part of a program. He uses a neurocaster to split his consciousness so he can be with his only close family member. In reality, his mother was an alcoholic and abusive woman, but here she cares for her son. Unfortunately, the program starts glitching, and the system's bandwidth drops as Christopher's consciousness has left his body and hidden itself in Cosmo. The center and its abilities are limited, so the virtual world will collapse in a few days. Unless they manage to bring Christopher's consciousness back. Realizing how dire the situation is, Skate turns to Bradbury for help, promising a generous reward for capturing Cosmo. The group of travelers discovers a supermarket, when suddenly they are fired upon by a catapult. Herman is injured and falls, and they are surrounded by robots, who inform them that they've been captured. It turns out that the supermarket is a robot survival center, led by Mr. Peanut, the exiled leader of their rebellion. He apologizes for the attack, explaining that the robots didn't intend to harm them, thinking it was a scavenger attack. The robots tried to defend themselves, but didn't see any threat in Michelle and her friends. The girl asked to be taken to Dr. Amherst, but Mr. Peanut says he exiled them since this place is for robots only. Michelle begs for help finding her brother, but the robots refuse to change anything. They're in exile for trying to express individuality and have no intention of getting involved with humans. Again, Mr. Peanut ignores Michelle and asks them to leave their base. Kits persuades Michelle to wait until morning, as the exclusion zone is too dangerous at night, and they could become scavenger victims. In the evening, Cosmo comforts Michelle and shows her a cartoon her brother loved. That night, a robot postman sneaks up to Michelle with a letter for her brother Christopher. It turns out that before leaving the robot base, the doctor left a message for Christopher, revealing his location. Mr. Peanut overhears the conversation and offers to help Michelle find her brother. They must head into a zone full of scavengers, which is too dangerous, the group is too weak, so they'll need a few robots capable of fighting scavengers. Mr. Peanut recruits a postman and a baseball-playing robot for the journey. Soon the group sets off toward the coordinates the doctor gave them, unaware that the Marshal is still chasing them. Late in the evening, they arrive at an abandoned amusement park, a horrible place swarming with scavenger robots. At some point, it becomes clear this is a trap. With hundreds of scavengers capable of tearing apart not just robots, but humans as well, Michelle finds a door and hopes to hide inside the building. But the door is just a drawing and there's no entrance. It seems their group is trapped when suddenly eerie music starts playing and a secret passage opens, leading to the basement lab. Here, Michelle meets Dr. Amherst, who has chosen a life of complete isolation. Cosmo hands the doctor a letter to confirm that he is controlled by Christopher's consciousness. Who needs help? Amherst explains that 2 years ago, humanity was losing a war to robots and was on the brink of extinction. It seemed like the war was lost, but then Christopher, with his unique brain, came into the hands of the doctors to show how everything unfolded. Amers asks for the help of a robot, playing the role of a hard drive for his memory. The doctor's robot shows several video recordings, explaining that skate centers were founded thanks to Christopher's brain, and he helped create neurocasters for controlling drones and winning the war. The boy's brain serves as the engine for the system, but no one knew what this might lead to. A year after the accident, Christopher regained consciousness, and the doctor wanted to help him, but a businessman strictly forbade, interfering with his project, which existed thanks to the natural computer. Trying to fight the system, Amherst left an unnoticed secret passage, through which the boy's consciousness escaped the safety perimeter and inhabited the toy Cosmo. Amherst is unsure if he's ready to help Michelle, as trying to leave the exclusion zone would lead to a confrontation with Skate. Their conversation is interrupted by the Marshal, who tracks down the group LED by Michelle. The Marshal sneaks into the doctor's secret lab, where he is met by Mr. Peanut. He decides to fight the bounty hunter, but during the skirmish, he loses the cylinder welded to his head. The others escape through a backup exit. They are surrounded by drones of soldiers working for Skate Michelle, Amherst. Kits and the robots begin a battle with the drones, destroying most of them. After dealing with Mr. Peanut, Bradbury offers the others to surrender. If they don't want to be harmed, Amir tries to negotiate with him, since shooting people is prohibited. But Skate takes control of one of the drones and kills the doctor meanwhile. The other drones succeed in capturing Cosmo, completing their mission the next morning. The group returns to the supermarket and finds it completely destroyed. Only a small portion of the robots survived, and they are not prepared for resistance or war. Michelle asks Amara's computer for help. As it knows everything the doctor knew, the doctor's computer knows that Christopher is in Seattle and can help them get inside the building. It has access codes that will not only allow them to leave the zone, but also free Christopher. The computer warns that this will lead to the system's collapse, and Michelle sees this as a great opportunity to defeat Skate's system. She asks the robots to join and start a rebellion. But Mr. Peanut is afraid. The other robots agree to do whatever it takes to help Michelle free her brother, and their leader agrees to lead the squad. While Skate connects Cosmo to the equipment to return Christopher's consciousness to his body, the group heads toward the Seattle base. Herman, taking control of a massive construction robot, hurls cars at the building. Skate sends all the drones to fight the robots, allowing Michelle and the doctor's computer to sneak inside. While the robots engage in battle, drawing attention to themselves, Amir's hard drive scares the doctors in the lab, forcing them to flee. Herman loses the massive construction robot, but continues the fight donning a smaller suit. The robots begin to win, destroying a large portion of the drones, which infuriates Skate the businessman. Decides to use a neurocaster to control a larger, more advanced combat drone to suppress the resistance. Meanwhile, Mr. Peanut once again encounters the bounty hunter. Bradbury is surprised to find that the robots possess more humanity than the humans do. He realizes that Mr. Peanut and his friends have a noble cause, unlike the deranged Skate, so he doesn't interfere with them, and retires from the conflict. For the first time, Michelle uses the neurocaster to enter her brother's mind and speak with him. Christopher is happy that his sister found him, but now she must stop the madness. The only way to do this is by shutting off his life support so that he can peacefully die. Michelle is opposed to this, as she has just found her brother again, but she understands that it's the only way to end the insane experiments being conducted on his brain. Meanwhile, the robot team continues fighting, suffering losses. Herman loses the large suits, and while protecting Kits, he is shot and dies. The smuggler deeply mourns this, as he has lost his only true friend. Skate returns to reality, but Mr. Peanut has infiltrated the lab and stops the businessman. He could kill him, but instead decides to spare Skate's life, so he can face just punishment for his crimes. After bidding farewell to her brother, Michelle shuts him off and Christopher dies with him. The Neurocaster's drones and the entire system of the center shut down forever. The robots celebrate their victory, but mourn those they lost in this war. Kits also grieves when unexpectedly. It turns out that Herman survived, as the previous model was an enlarged version of the little one that had been hiding inside. Sometime later, Skate is brought to trial and sent to prison, while Michelle records a video message to the people with a heartfelt speech urging them to value real life. At the end of the film, Cosmo's body is thrown into the trash, but it unexpectedly shows signs of life. What is the true cost of technological progress? The film presents a world where technology has caused a devastating catastrophe. What lessons can we learn, and how can we prevent such outcomes in our own world? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.
Subscribe.